What's up, y'all? Technically, I'm not supposed to be making another video right now because I said I was gonna do other things. But when the spirit calls, you gotta do what you gotta do. You know what I mean? And so right now, I feel compelled to talk about this subject right here. I feel like talking about the difference between royalty mindset and peasant behavior. Okay. Now, in the black community, we love to talk about kings this, kings that. We all kings, blah blah blah. Kings, 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 gods, gods, gods. Man, that sounds so good, right? And technically, it's correct because we are direct descendants of royalty and all of that. Cool, yes, of course. Oh yes, feels great. But it comes at a cost. And what is that cost? It's this book right here. Hmm. I feel like I put too much oil on my face. Oh. This book right here is going to teach you everything you need to know about life. It's going to teach you how to take control over your subconscious mind, which is responsible for your life. You know what I mean? That's why most people are servants of money instead of having money serve them. And let me tell you, when you have money serve you, it's a much better deal than when you serving money. When you serving money, man, it's basically like the slave masters used to do us back in the day, right? You don't want that. It's not fun. It's not pleasurable and all of that. So might as well learn how to have money work for you. You know what I mean? How to have money serve you. Now, I'm going to elaborate on this, but this is going to be cut off because, 3 minutes or whatever. So if you're interested about what I got to say, just go to my YouTube. Now, with all that being said, this is the thing. I consider myself a king, right? Well, that's not accurate, but for the sake of the example, I'm gonna leave it right here because I don't want to lose people, right? I want to keep people to where they can understand what I'm trying to say. But let's just say that I consider myself in high regards, right? So I move different, you know. That's why I don't got too many people I can call my friend because most people are not really working on themselves like they should, you know what I mean? And I only know that because I am working on myself. Regardless of how many mistakes I make, because nobody's perfect, all I'm trying to say is that I'm working on myself. And there's a difference when you're working on yourself and when you don't work on yourself. You know what I mean? You become aware of certain things that most people are not aware of. So hold on. So really, if I'm your friend, you're very lucky. Just know that you are very lucky. If I was you, I would not take me for granted. You know what I mean? Just because we might be blood related or nothing, you take me for granted, cool. Don't be surprised when I don't pick up your calls. Surprisingly, my real family is not necessarily blood related. And what I mean by my real family is people who think like me, right? A lot of people blood related to me don't think like me, so I don't really consider them family like that. It's just, relatives. Um, but yeah, this is the thing. Regardless of whatever you want to think about me, I'm extremely valuable to the human family as a whole. Because how many people talk like me? You know what I mean? How many people think like me? It's not too many. How many people are out here doing the kind of things that I do? And again, that's not to pat myself on the back because, like Big Mike said, the minute you got a big head, you lose. So I'm not trying to get a big head out here, but I'm just trying to explain something here. If I'm your friend, right? It's not just words to me because I don't have the luxury. I didn't have the luxury of having a big family growing up, right? Like, I'm the only child from my father and my mother. To my knowledge, again, some of the things that my father did are questionable, so I gotta really make sure that I don't have any brothers out there that I don't know about because things happened that were questionable, which I'm not gonna get into because not everything is for the gram, you know what I mean? Not everything is for the public to know, but you never know. The point I'm trying to make is this. If you just so happen to become part of my family, right? Which is the goal of every friend that I have, is to eventually, as our relationship grows, you're gonna become part of my family, right? It's only natural. Like, my kids are gonna play with your kids, You're gonna come eat at my house, I'm gonna go eat at your house. You know what I mean? Things are naturally gonna happen. And so, long story short, if you do become my brother or my sister, there's a certain spotlight on me that you need to be aware of. Growing up, I wasn't treated like a regular person. I was treated like the offspring of such and such. Meaning, people used to call me by my last name a lot. And that used to bother me because I was just a child, you know what I mean? I was just trying to fit in a lot of times, you know what I mean? But because of my last name and because of my family, I was not awarded this privilege of being a regular person. I was treated like a rich person, like, oh yeah, he's just a rich kid, So whenever people saw me, they looked at me with big eyes, evil eye, if you will, right? With jealousy, envy, and all of that. Not realizing I'm just trying to hang out, you know what I mean? But it was hard for me to do simple things because people always perceived me in a different way. Which is interesting because my little brother experienced the same thing his whole life. So that's why he is what he is. You know what I mean? Because if you look at our lives, it's very similar. So I saw a lot of myself in him, and I'm pretty sure he saw a lot of himself in me. So that's why when things happen, I went ham because that's just the kind of man I am. You know what I mean? When I love you, I'll go to hell and back for you because I expect you to do the same thing. That's just what it is, I don't know any other way to be. And honestly, I don't want to be any other way because, what's life about? You know what I mean? But anyway, not everybody thinks like me, and that's cool. That's okay. Everybody got their own choice. But my thing is this, like I said before, if you have the privilege to become my brother, there's a certain spotlight that's gonna automatically be on you. And with spotlight and power and notoriety, or whatever you want to call it, comes great responsibility. You know what I mean? Because once you're in the spotlight, you are extremely scrutinized. Everybody want to know everything about you. Everybody want to know what makes you so great. Why is your name always in people's mouth? Growing up, I didn't know all of that, but my parents did, and that's why they sent me to. Mom, maman, s'il te plaît. S'il te plaît. C'est un peu fort le bruit là. Excuse-moi. I get it. I get it. I get it. All right, thank you. Like I said before, damn, I lost my train of thought. Okay, hold on. Anyway, there's a certain spotlight that's gonna be on you. You know what I mean? People are gonna study you, because that's what happens to great people. You know what I mean? You get studied because everybody trying to be great. That's understandable. But the thing is this, like I said before, if you become my brother, there's a certain code among us. You know what I mean? There's things we do, there's things we don't do. Because people are willing to sacrifice for you if they really love you, right? Meaning your actions becomes everybody's action, because whatever you do is gonna have an effect and impact on your family, whether you realize that or not. You know, us men, we are extremely weak when it comes to women. You know what I mean? That's just the truth. Women are way more powerful than us, and that's just the truth. But you know, men have such a big ego that they think they run everything, but nothing could be further from the truth. With all that being said, that's why you need to learn how to deal with women, by getting books like this. Based on the cover, you probably might think that it's a book about being a womanizer, right? How to get over on women and all of that. That's fair. That's an assumption. But until you actually read those books, you're not gonna know what it is. And truth be told, if you still out here judging a book by its cover, that says a lot about you. So I'm gonna leave it right there. With anything you do, you should always try to become better at it, right? You should always try to become a better person every way you can. But men specifically need to learn how to effectively deal with women, because women are life. Literally, everything that a man does is for a woman. A man came out of a woman. If it wasn't for a woman, there would be no God. But that's another subject for another day or whatever. You know what I mean? I don't want to put my personal beliefs out there, but I will. I believe that God is a woman. And I don't feel like explaining it. Just do your own research, like I did. But again, men tends to think that they run everything just because they are more powerful, meaning physically more powerful, you know, and we got big mouths and big ego, and we can impose our will on others like we have done throughout history, and the fruits are there. You know what I mean? Every time we let ego run, war ends up happening. people lose lives. You know what I mean? It's not the smartest thing to be. I'm a man, but there's a lot of flaws that I see in men that I'm trying to correct within myself. You know, growing up, I had the privilege of having a lot of women around me. I did not have the luxury of growing up with my father because he died early on. However, there were father figures like my uncle, but that's it. Most of the time he wasn't around. Most of the time I was around women, so I learned so much about women, and I'm so thankful and grateful for women because they raised me. They taught me everything, and I owe them my life, honestly, because I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for great women by my side. So whatever you think about me, just understand that my passion comes out how it comes out, you know what I mean? And it don't always sound the best, but I'm desperately trying to help the best way that I can. And I'm always open to suggestions on how I can do it in a better way. So I'm thankful for my friends and family who tell me to, tone it down a little bit because I tend to get rough around the edges, you know what I mean? And I don't do it by choice per se, you know what I mean? It just comes out like that because that's my passion. So please forgive me if you feel offended. Just understand that I'm really trying to make a point because I really care, you know what I mean? I'm not just one of those people that's just gonna talk to be talking. Nah, I really care. So I said all that to say that if you know me personally, it's kind of like a blessing and a curse because of who I am, right? So every day for a while, I've been making content, right, about showing people how to become better, showing people how to become rich, you know what I mean? Showing people how to have money serve them instead of serving money. Showing people how to live a better life, you know what I mean? Try to improve people's mindset. And you know what really breaks my heart? That I have a hard time understanding is that I was out here desperate, right? Trying to help people and do things for people and everything like that. And then I came to the extremely sad realization that, a lot of times people are not necessarily doing as bad as you think they do, you know what I mean? Because you might look at somebody and be like, oh damn, you need some help, let me help you. And a lot of times the person don't even care, you know what I mean? So you're out here trying to help a person who don't want to help themselves, and then the conflicts happens, and then misunderstanding happen, and then people think that you're big-headed, that you know it all, and all of that. I've run into that a whole lot because I be doing too much, honestly. I really do. But that's because I'm passionate and I'm really loving. But I need to chill, you know what I mean? I need to become a little bit more selfish, unfortunately, right? That's what I gotta learn. We all different, you know what I mean? We all got different lessons to learn, but that's a big lesson that I'm learning every day that I have a hard time understanding and accepting for what it is. A lot of people are not really, I'm not gonna say that people don't want to do better, right? But there's something to be said about helping too much, right? And that's something I'm learning. At this point in my life, I convinced myself that I did everything I could for people. that I know personally. You know, so those same people that I'm trying to help don't really know what I'm sitting on. I could be sitting on a lot of money already. But until they see that, they're gonna think that what they see is what I got. And some of those people that I try to help, which are part of my blood related family, told me straight up, hey, I ain't gonna listen to you because you ain't got nothing. So what you gotta teach me, right? It don't matter what I tell them. It don't matter what I show them. Until they see money, they're not gonna believe. Basically, if I'm saying anything, I'm saying this. A lot of people don't got faith, man. A lot of people talk about God. A lot of people go to church. A lot of people pray in vain. They don't believe what they be saying. They just be doing it to be doing it, which is understandable because nobody's really teaching people how to have faith. We just talk a good game. We just, you know, hustling. We're just getting money, you know what I mean? And we're making it seem like we're doing it for God, but really, we're just hustling the game, you know, we're just getting money. Nobody, I don't really see too many people actually caring and taking the time to be like, no, this is the steps. This is what you do. This is what you don't do. What you're doing is wrong. You know what I mean? Because if you tell people the truth, chances are you're not going to make as much money. Which is why most people are not concerned about really helping people. They're just concerned about making more money, which is cool. You know, to each his own. Make your money, go ahead. Just understand, I will never be convinced because I know what true wealth is. You might get money, but is it God money? That's a real question. That's a deep question. Is it God money? People are going to be like, what is God money? Well, let me tell you. God money is basically money that is really money that you get from really doing a service to people. Really helping people improve. It's tricky to explain because you might think that just because there's a pastor talking about God, he's doing God's work, so he's getting God money. You might, and you couldn't be more wrong than this. But the thing is, nobody really knows intentions, right? That's why people are so fluent with words. They'll tell you anything if you let them, and they do. They spend their time lying to everybody, lying to themselves, sounding good, but lying. This was tough for me because most of my life I've been really blessed to be raised by a family that stand on integrity, right? So when I got out in the world, I felt like everybody was standing on integrity. And I couldn't be more wrong. I couldn't be more wrong. So this right here cuts me deeply. But you know, it's part of life. You know, you gotta grow up, and that's what I'm doing. I'm growing up. And growing up meaning you're gonna have to cut a lot of people off, and it is what it is. You can't have any dead weight when you're on your path to wherever you're going. When you're on your path to greatness, when you're on your path to God and doing God's work, you can't let nothing and nobody stop you because your mission becomes the most important thing. There's God, there's you, there's your wife, and then there's your kids. That's it. Everything else comes after, if there is time. And a lot of times there's no time. So like I said, if I ever approach you or if you know me personally, I suggest you get close to me. and have a serious conversation, because I can seriously help you achieve the level of success that you want to achieve. God bless me. I'm not taking nothing for granted. I'm reading this book every day though. Maybe if you do that, it could benefit you. But even if you do that, it doesn't mean you're gonna do what I do, because only God put in my heart what I do. That's why nobody can do what I do but me. Especially the way I do it, with the intent and the intention that I put in, can nobody do that but me. So long story short, as long as I stay on this path that I'm on right now, I don't have to worry about nothing in life, because I already made it. I don't need no recognition, because I already made it. By all standards, there's no money you can give me that's gonna make me feel better. There's no prizes, Grammys, whatever you can give me that's gonna make me feel better, because guess what? I get my recognition straight up from above, from God. That feeling that I get when I look in the mirror, I couldn't be more proud of myself, and I get more prouder and prouder each and every day. The unfortunate thing about this is that the more I wake up, the more I look around, and the more I see the reality of things, and the more disappointed I get, because I realize that most people are not on that path, which is okay. You know what I mean? We each have our own path. It's cool. Just be real about it so we can act accordingly. You know what I mean? Don't be fake, trying to pretend to be something you're not, because you're wasting my time. And if you're wasting my time, you're wasting God's time. And I cannot tolerate that, and I cannot accept that any longer. Because I don't play about God, and I don't play about what I do. I go hard for what I do because I believe in it. By all accounts, I shouldn't even be born. My mama wasn't even supposed to have kids, according to what the doctor said. You know what I mean? But God had other plans. If it wasn't for God, I wouldn't be here. And I don't take that for granted. Now that I have the vision and knowledge and understanding to know what it is that I want to do with my life, it's all gas, no brakes. All gas, no brakes. If you're not an asset, you're a liability, and I'm going to cut you off. Not because I hate you. I don't. I can't even afford to hate nobody, because I'm so close to God and to his blessings. You know, the closer you get to God and his blessings, the more you can't afford certain things. You know what I mean? You can't afford to be negative, because you understand that even you thinking negatively is going to affect you. It starts off small, right? You feel weird. That feeling turns into something. You know what I mean? You become extremely fertile, if you will. Your manifestation level is so high that you can't afford certain things. You can't afford negativity, because you're gonna manifest that negativity too, as well as the positive things that you are thinking of. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. You know what I mean? God bless. God bless. I will always love you. Just because I love you don't mean you're gonna have access to me, because I'm on my path. I'm serving a greater purpose. If you don't understand that, we probably don't need to be friends. And that's okay too. Just respect it. That's it. Respect me. Respect my path. That's it. I don't ask for much. You know what I mean? But going back to what I was saying before, you have a responsibility, right? As a human being, but especially if you know me, you have a responsibility, because I'm on a certain path. And therefore, we need to support each other. We need to care for each other. We need to protect each other. We need to guide each other, because we all we got, right? it's it ain't too many of us, but less is more. You know what I mean? We don't need too many people to change the world. You change the world by changing yourself. That's it. But with all that being said, it's not wise to keep people around who are not in alignment with you. It's not wise. It's not wise. So I'm learning how to differentiate between the two. You know what I mean? Because I be loving people and loving things that are not in alignment with my path. So I'm learning how to be more in alignment with my path. And so it goes with people, places, and things that I do that I need to really scrutinize so that I can make sure that I can be the best person I can be to do what God plan is for me to do. You know what I mean? That's what really matters to me. I don't care about nothing else because everything comes from that. You know? So you gotta really think about what really matters, you know? Is money really what matters to you? Cool. You can do anything and get a whole bunch of money, but that don't mean that you're gonna be rich. That's just gonna mean that you're gonna have a lot of money. But if you look around, a lot of people have a lot of money, but very few people have wealth, peace, happiness, joy, the ability to do whatever you want to do whenever you want to do. Very few people have that ability all combined, you know what I mean? Most people have a select few things here and there. But the level of wealth the level of wealth that really interests me is that which has all of the above, right? So, with that being said, you can't be doing just anything out here, especially if you're my brother. You know what I mean? Because I'm going to cut you off too. I don't care anymore. If you're not helping me, you're hurting me. And I cannot afford certain things like I used to. You know what I mean? It's just what comes with the territory. I'm about to be 30, so of course I move different. Of course every day I get better. You know what I mean? It's just a blessing that I'm so grateful and happy to receive straight from God. So just understand, you know what I mean? Just understand. Just try to respect it the best way you can. If I don't pick up your phone calls or text or whatever, there's a good reason behind that. You know, it's not personal. Trust me, it's not. It's just because, hey, I serve a greater purpose. I'm no longer the same guy that you used to call names and, you know, do whatever you think you can do and everything is cool because, oh yeah, you know, you can just tell him anything. You know, he's like a dog. You know how dogs are? Dogs are so loving and kind that every time they see their people, they're always happy. Like if you ever had a dog and you come home, it don't matter what time of day, every time the dog see you come home, it's the same reaction. It's always gonna be so happy, so grateful to see you, so on you, so wagging his tail, so happy. That a lot of times we take that for granted and we like, oh, get away. And then when the dog pass away, then you realize, well, damn. You know what I mean? There's something missing in my life, you know? And I tend to have that effect on people. I don't know how to explain it. Like, when you're around me, for some reason, you feel great. you know, but when you've experienced that feeling of being around me and all of a sudden you don't, there's a certain sadness that comes with that. I will venture to think that it has something to do with my mindset, my positivity, my vibration, my vibe. You know, it's not too common to find people like me. Just like you, it's not too common to find people like you, right? So, just in general, you know, don't take people for granted. You know, we all make mistakes, that's cool, but if there's a mistake, we need to like see how we can correct it, because when you make a mistake, you're not just making a mistake for yourself. No, the whole family made a mistake and the whole family got to fix that. So that's what I'm dealing with right now. So please pray for me, because I'm about to talk to my brother, right? And I hope that the right words come out my mouth, because a lot of times it doesn't come out my mouth the way that's more pleasing, right? But the message is there. But you know, people don't care about the message. It's all about how you say things to people. You know, people like what they like. So you gotta work with people. You know. So pray for me, y'all, because I don't want to have to cut my brother off, but it looks like I might have to. But thanks for watching, though. I just felt like making this slow video. You know, just shooting the breeze, you know. But pray for me. Pray for me. Thank you for watching.